which comprises 3 working groups. First working group, the core working group, is involved in reviewing the technologies that come out of the World Wide Web Consortium for internationalization issues. And so we feed back our reviews to the people who are developing the technologies like XML and HTML and speech synthesis markup language, whatever it happens to be. We provide them with additional advice. We write our own specifications on how to do character models and so on and so forth. We have another working group called the Internationalization Tag Set Working Group. This working group is developing a set of tags, and I'll show you some examples in a minute, to help people to implement markup languages that will support international use. Thirdly, we have a working group called GEO, Guidelines, Education and Outreach, and their mission is to make internationalization aspects of W3C technology better understood and more widely and consistently used. Again, I'll show you more about that in a second. Let me just show you some of the work that we're doing in GEO. We've developed a number of articles on how to implement XHTML and CSS in particular, but other technologies as well, that you can go to and read on our website. There's more than you can see up here. I don't expect you to read that, but there's quite a lot of articles. We're also developing techniques documents where we say, okay, as a developer, you want to know how to write an international table right now. You don't want to read a book over here and then try and remember all that, and then when you come to creating your content hope that you can remember all the things you have to do to make a table international. You want to sometimes look it up right now. So we're trying to use a task-based approach where you can get into the information very quickly. I'm looking for information about tables. You go there, you find that, and it tells you what to do. We're also trying to adapt the material so that it's not just a long piece of text that you have to read, but that you have summaries which indicate also whether those recommendations are supported by the key user agents or browsers around at the moment. So we're working hard to provide information for you. We can always do with help. We could also do with translations into Nepali, for example. We welcome volunteer translations and so on. Let me get on, oh, sorry, one more thing. If you want to find that information, go to the web page for the internationalization activity. Here's the URL, www.w3.org/international. And then hopefully from there you can find that information. So, the power of localization. I don't want to spend too long on this. I think you guys are pretty convinced about the value of having Nepali Linux. There are good business reasons as well. Today, companies which do not internationalize products to meet local market requirements are increasingly facing competitors which do. Not surprisingly, customers, when given the choice, literally choose the product that literally speaks their language. Okay? That's a very old quote, but it's just more and more true as every year goes by. From Forrester Research, visitors linger twice as long as they do at English-only URLs, if you have that page translated. Business users are 3 times more likely to buy when addressed in their language. Customer services costs drop when instructions are displayed in the user's language. More good business reasons for localizing. Donald J. Plumley, one large IT company, discovered that a significant percentage of inquiries were coming from South Korea. They created a Korean website and revenues rose by 8%. Wow, that's impressive. And now, I don't have a slide for it, but the thing that the W3C is really excited about at the moment is the mobile web. Okay, we've had the web on large computers and web browsers, but now we're looking at a situation where the web will be everywhere, on your mobile phone, on your handheld device, and so on and so forth. And we're working hard on providing best practices for developers so that those things can be transported from one display device to another. But of course, having mobile phones makes, with the displayed web information, makes this much more accessible to a much wider range of the population, and a range you cannot expect to speak English. Okay. Let me clarify some terms though. When I say localization, what I mean is the adaptation of a product, an application, a document content, to meet the language or the cultural or other requirements of a specific language. But I'm going to talk a lot of the time today about internationalization, which is slightly different. Internationalization is the design and development of a product or application or document content that enables easy localization for target audiences. So I want you to bear in mind the distinction between localization and internationalization. And I'm going to be talking today about internationalization and how that is important for real good localization in Nepal. Let's have a look at some of the things that we have to consider and some of the things that the W3C has been working on recently. Character sets are the foundation. That's the very low architectural basis on which everything works. This first slide is useful in a couple of ways. One, it shows that for us at the W3C, English, if you can find it in there, is just another language. And accessibility for people of all languages and cultures and scripts has always been important to us. The other thing that's amazing here, 10 years ago, if I put this up, in fact, about 12 years ago, I put up a slide like this at a Unicode conference, and Joe Becker, one of the fathers of Unicode, came up to me and said, "How did you do that? You're not supposed to have so many different scripts all on the same page." And yet today we take that for granted, okay? And to a large extent that's because of the arrival of Unicode, which not only limits us to Devanagari writing or some other script, but provides for a huge range, in fact nearly all the scripts that you could need today. Unicode was adopted very early by the W3C as a base technology. The document character set for XML is Unicode, the document character set for HTML is Unicode. That doesn't mean that you can't use other encodings, you can, but Unicode is used as a reference model. However, it's not quite so simple as just using Unicode to ensure that you have good localization and internationalization. There are ways in which you have to know about how to use Unicode. Unicode is an encoding which uses multiple bytes for a single character. So here is a few examples of the bytes that you need, 1, 2, 3, 4 in UTF-8. And this means that if you want to move through text using your cursor, you jump 1 byte to get to the other side of A. You jump then 2 bytes to get to the other side of the Hebrew sound, and then 3 bytes to get to the next side of the Japanese character. So what you have to do here is always respect the character boundaries, not byte boundaries anymore, as used to be the case. So if you're pointing into documents, if you're scanning through documents, if you're comparing documents, this is a fundamentally important thing to bear in mind. And we always have to remind specification developers of that fact. Another aspect